What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another Hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your Hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find out all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the match I have for you today, we have Vishuda, who is going to be on the Plant Artifact Traptrix deck. It's sort of like, Hat in a sense, except it's playing a slightly larger plant engine, usually playing stuff like Lone Fires and the Traptrix Nepenthes, which is kind of like a old school version of Traptrix Sarah, versus South City Duelist, who is going to be on Mermail, and this is a War League match, so it should be pretty good. So let's get straight into it. Here we will see South City Duelist start this one out. Opening hands, we see Max C, Artifact Beagletack, Traptrix Nepenthes, Pada Duality, and Mermail. And on the other side, we see Atlantean Heavy Infantry, Upstart Goblin, Abyss Sphere, Bottomless, and Title. Real quickly, I'm going to go over the Traptrix Nepenthes, just because if you've never seen this card before, because it is, not the most common in Hat format, it is a really cool card, and it's very strong. It's a level 4 plant monster, and it says, like all the Traptrix monsters, this card's unaffected by the effects of whole normal trap cards, and if you activate a whole normal trap card except during the damage step, you can add to your hand or special summon one Traptrix monster from your deck except Nepenthes, and you can only use this effect of Nepenthes once per turn. So, like I said, very, very strong card, just being able to either add or special summon, so you can kind of pick and choose which effect you actually want to get off. But anyway, South City Duelist will get to draw for turn here, getting a copy of Heavy Infantry. So they do play 2 infantry. A lot of builds have been cutting it down to 1 lately, but it's good to see they still are on 2. They're going to start out their turn by activating Upstart Goblin, getting a copy of Pike. Very good draw there. And from here, it looks like they're going to take it slow, just setting the Bottomless and Sphere and passing it over to Vishuda, who gets a copy of Void Trap Hole. Obviously, this deck is going to play probably a few more of the normal Trap Hole cards, simply just because when you're trying to really take advantage of Nepenthes, you want to make sure you have more than just the regular, like, Bottomless or Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare that a lot of the Artifact Traptrix decks do play. And from here, they're going to activate Duality and reveal Dionea, Nightmare, and Maxi, taking the copy of Dionea. And from here, they are going to summon Mermail and add a copy of Bottomless. So they are all set here, going to battle phase, attacking in, but the Sphere is going to be chained to that. And it looks like Vishuda is going to chain Maxi to the Sphere. And here they're going to still go for the copy of Lind. And here Vishuda will get a copy of Double Cyclone, and the Lind gets destroyed. They are going to trigger that Lind and summon a copy of Pike. Here Vishuda gets a draw and gets a copy of Soul Charge. The Pike is going to trigger, discarding the Infantry and adding a copy of Undyne, and then the Infantry is going to pop the Mermail. In main phase 2, it looks like they are going to set for back row here and pass it over to South City Duelist, who gets a copy of Dark Hole. So from here, they're going to start their turn by summoning the copy of Undyne, paying the cost, and sending a copy of Dragoons here. They say it's good, so they get the Controller, and then the Dragoons will add a copy of Megalo here. After that, just going to battle phase, trying to do some damage here, and Vishuda is thinking here. Not entirely sure what, but here it looks like South City Duelist is going to go main phase 2 and then pass it over. Here, Vishuda does get a copy of Torrential, which is a great draw. And they're going to summon Dionea and use the effect of bringing back the copy of Mermail. Mermail is going to try to pop the back row, which it does. And obviously they're unaffected by the Bottomless, so it's irrelevant here. And from here, they're going to overlay for a copy of Dweller, go to battle phase, run over the copy of Pike, and go main phase 2, set the Torrential, and pass it over. Here they get a copy of Sphere. They're going to normal summon the copy of Controller, and taking a second to think, and they're going to overlay for a copy of Engineer, so just trying to beat over the Dweller here, and we will see the Bottomless chain to that, and Engineer is going to chain its effect, so it will get switched to defense, and it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects this turn, and so the Dweller will be able to stay alive here, but anyways, after that, the Title is going to trigger, banishing the Infantry and Undyne from Graveyard to summon itself, and here going battle phase to get over the copy of Dweller. Let me just check what was set here. So obviously you really wouldn't want to go for some of this. Opponent's match, 2,000 or more attack. Negate the effects of one of those monsters with 2,000 or more. So I guess maybe they had some stuff they could do, but I guess they didn't really want to get rid of the Dweller here, and even then, like, I I don't know, I guess just letting this through is probably the best. That maybe they thought they had a target for that or something. I'm not entirely sure. Oh no, they are thinking on summon, so they are going to Void Trap hold that, so getting rid of that. So that's kind of what I was thinking, why I thought it was a little weird there. But anyways, they are going to out the title here, so it still is main phase 1, and here Dark Hole is going to be able to activate, so they're really just doing everything they can to out that copy of Dweller. And obviously the Engineer stays because of its effect, and then they're just going to set the Sphere and pass it over. Here Vishuda does get a copy of Call the Haunted, which is a great draw. They're going to go for the Soul Charge, bringing it back Mermail, Dionea, and just those two. And here they're going to activate the Dionea and Mermail, so being able to pop the back row and reset that copy of Bottomless or Void Trap Hole that they had used, but the Sphere is going to be chained to that. And it looks like Double Cyclone is going to be chained to that. So here getting rid of the Beagle Tack and popping the Sphere so there won't be a summon. Unfortunately, it is their turn, so they won't get the Beagle Tack summon. But here we see that Bottomless gets reset, and then from here overlaying for a copy of Black Ship of Corn to be able to send that Engineer and inflict 1,000 damage. After that, Nepenthes is going to be normal summoned, which is good given, they do have that Bottomless. And so, yeah, no, it actually looks like Vishuda is still in this game pretty solidly, even though it seemed like their hand was a little weaker at the time. Here, South City Duelist does get a copy of Moonland Glacia for turn. They're going to normal summon the Pike, use the effect, discarding the Infantry, and Bottomless is going to be chained to that. And so here they do get a copy of Gund, and then just seeing here, it looks like Nepenthes is going to activate here. Let me just double check that if you activate a whole normal trap. Okay, so it's an if effect, so they, this won't miss timing or anything with everything else going on. But here, they will get to add a copy of Dionea, and then the Infantry is popping the copy of Black Ship. After that, taking a little bit of time to think, which does make sense here. It is a tough situation. And is that enough? Waters and Grave already? 1, 2, 3... 4, 5. Yeah, it is. It really had seemed like there was a lot going on, but if that's 5, I guess it works out. So Moonland Glacia does get slammed down here using its effect to, make them discard their Dionea. And then here Tidal is going to activate, banishing the Infantry and Dragoons. Torrential is going to be chained to that though, so very simplified game state. But here Vishuda does top deck a copy of Mermail, which is good. They're going to normal summon, and it looks like they do still have targets, so they are going to add the Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, and then go battle phase and attack in. Here activating Call the Haunted to bring back the Dionea. Dionea can trigger to reset the Bottomless yet again, and going and attacking in. And then here they're going main phase 2, going for a copy of Emerald, and using the effect, detaching Dionea, shuffling back the Dionea, and Max C, and drawing into a copy of Soul Charge, which is really, really good. They still have a decent amount of life left, so that might actually be pretty relevant in this game. A lot will come down to what South City Duelist does draw for turn here, so we will have to see. But first, Vishuda is going to set that Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, and then they're thinking for a second, passing it over. They do get a copy of Soul Charge, so that might actually be a way to get back in this game pretty strong. They still have 4,600 life, so they can definitely afford to pay a bit. They are going to go for Soul Charge and going for Controller and Pike. And let's see, they're paying 2, and Bottomless is going to be activated, and here the Pike is going to be able to activate. Maybe they aren't going for Bottomless, but it looks like the Pike is going to discard the Gund here, and instead they are going to go for the Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, but here the Gun can still trigger, and they're thinking for a second here, bringing back the Pike. Okay, and then Bottomless is going to be chained to that. Obviously, Pike is a once per turn, so they aren't able to, attempt to use the effect again. Bottomless is banishing that as well. They do still have access to Tidal, though, which they are going to use, banishing the Moonland Glacia and Gund here, synchro summoning into a copy of Leo, which is a very hard card for a lot of decks to out. Vishuda draws a copy of Beagle Tech, so I believe, they are on 2 copies of Beagle Tech. Okay. And from here, they're going to use Emerald, detaching the Mermail, putting back a copy of Beagle Tech, Black Ship, and Mermail, shuffling the deck, and drawing a copy of Lone Fire. Okay, all right, draw, not really the greatest in this position. given usually they aren't going to play that many big monsters to go into, but I guess it is a way to get into a Dionea and then potentially reset that bottom list or anything else. So they are summoning Lone Fire into Lone Fire into a copy of Dionea, as mentioned, and then from here, they're going to reset the bottom list yet again, and then go for a Soul Charge, going for Lone Fire, and the Nepenthes. Okay, so going for a big Soul Charge play. Now they are only at 1,200, so they have to be careful. Here, Lone Fire is going to trigger to go for a copy of Spore. Wow, so they are on Spore. That's very interesting. So they are really in on the plants here, and from here, they are going to Synchro Summon. That is a 9. And they are going to go, or wait, that's an 8? It's, oh, right. Lone Fire is a 3. So here, just going for a 8 so that they can have a little bit of protection here. And yeah, it's going to be kind of tough for them to out that copy of Leo. So here, just setting the Beagle Tack and passing turn. Here, South City Duelist does get a copy of Undyne. They're going to summon Undyne and send for cost a copy of Marksman and add Controller. From here, Marksman can go and attempt to pop the bottomless, which it does. And then here they're going to summon Title, banishing 2, which they say is good, going to battle phase, and the Undyne is going to walk over the Emerald. Real quickly, I just want to double check Dionea, because I know that usually the Trap Hole gets banished, but I forget exactly when it is. It's been a little while since that effect actually gets used that often. So it says, when this card is special summon, you can target one whole normal trap card in your graveyard, set that target, but banish it during the end phase of your next turn if it is still on the field. Okay, so because it got used, it just keeps going to graveyard unless it would stay for like one whole turn cycle. But anyways, back to the battle phase here. Title is going to walk over the Nepenthes, and then the Leo is going to try to attack over the Spark Dragon, but Spark Dragon's going to protect itself. And they don't have a breakthrough or anything engraved, so it's just going to stay there. Here, H.A.T does get a copy of Sanctum, so finally getting something that can kind of out the Leo, because obviously if they go for a Moral Attack doesn't target, so they can out that, but, you know, it still isn't great. And here they're going to go and switch the Spark to attack, go to battle phase, run over the Undyne, and after that, they are going to set the copy of Sanctum, and the Title returns during the end phase. And then South City Duelist, ooh, that's a rough one for sure. Here they are going to top deck into a copy of Mind Control, activate the Mind Control to take the Spark Dragon, and then go for the copy of Title. They might still be in it because, you know, this isn't able to attack. Here attacking with the copy of Title. If they go for the Sanctum and go for Moral Attack, which they are in defense position, they can go and, oh, right, but the Stardust Spark can protect. Did they use it on itself? Oh no, they used it on the Leo. Okay, so they attempted to, you know, obviously Moral Attack doesn't target. So with this, they just shotgunned it onto the Leo because it makes so your opponent can't target this card with card effects except during main phase 2. They can still, you know, target it themselves. So they protected the Leo, but they used the Moral Attack to pop the copy of Title, and then the Leo just attacked over the Moral Attack. So now it kind of puts H.A.T on top deck mode. Here getting a copy of Call of the Haunted. Okay, so really good now that they had that Moral Attack in graveyard, and obviously the Spark Dragon came back during the end phase. So this is a very swingy game, setting that, and then here South City Duelist is going to set that copy of Lind, go to battle phase, Call of the Haunted's going to be activated, going for the Moral Attack, popping the Leo. Here getting another copy of Sanctum. The top decks are going crazy. Here activating Spore, banishing the Nepenthes. So now it will be a level 5, so they can, you know, overlay both for, oh, not even overlaying, right? They can just go and Synchro Summon for a 10. Very cool. So getting a copy of Leo of their own, I thought maybe they were just going to go for like some sort of rank 5 and then go for a Gaia Dragon and hope they can swing over if it's like a set controller or something like that. But here, just going to battle phase and running over the Lind. Lind is going to trigger, summoning a copy of Teus. And from here, the Leo can attack over the Teus, set the Sanctum over to South City Duelist, who gets a copy of Upstart, activates it, gets a copy of Compulse, and that is not going to be enough. They're going to set a monster and set a copy of Compulse. Going to battle phase, attacking in, Compulse is going to be able to activate. Leo attacking into the controller, so now they're going to need something. Teus is not the draw that does it. They can activate the copy of Title, though, banishing 2, but Maxi is going to be chained to that. And South City Duelist is going to scoop it up. What a crazy back and forth that was. So many things happened that I just wasn't expecting, but here we are going to move on to game number 2, where South City Duelist will get to start this one out yet again. Opening hands, we'll see DD Crow, Mermail, Ignition, Call the Haunted, and Mortal, and on the other side, we will see Dragoon, Soul Charge, DD Crow, Genix Controller, and Abyss Lind. So it's both players do have DD Crows, so obviously very good, whether they were going first or second in general. But South City Duelist is going to need something if they want to get this Dragoons out of hands, or worst case scenario, they just play it a little slow and grindy and use that Lind. But let's see what they draw for turn here. Getting a copy of Gun, so definitely going to have to play it a little slower, just probably setting the Lind, which is exactly what they're going to do. Here, Vishuda gets a copy of Lone Fire for turn, so pretty solid draw there, but they are going to go for the Mermail to get a copy of Bottomless. From here, they are going to go for Battle Phase and run over the Lind. Lind is going to summon a copy of Pike. Pike is going to be summoned, discarding the Dragoons, and here adding a copy of Undyne and a copy of Megalo off the Dragoons. After that, main phase 2, they are going to set 3 back row, holding the Call the Haunted, and passing it over to South City Duelist, who gets a copy of Dark Hole off the top. So an alright draw, maybe not in this exact situation. Here they are going to go for Controller, probably going for a Black Rose play or something, or at least trying to bait it out, which they are going to do using the effect, and Bottomless is going to be chained to that. Chainlink 2 activating Ignition to pop the set, setting a copy of Beagle Tack here, just probably trying to get the Beagle Tack out of deck realistically, and everything's going to get destroyed, and then Moral Tack and Beagle Tack are going to trigger, and here it looks like South City Duelist is letting it through, so obviously not going to use the DD Crow because they do have the Dark Hole in hand, so no reason to waste that here. And from here, they're going to go for Soul Charge, so not even using the Dark Hole, actually. They are just going to go for the Soul Charge, bringing out the copy of Pike and Controller, and Lind, and Dragoon. So going for a very big Soul Charge play, but here it looks like the DD Crow is actually going to banish the Pike, which is pretty unfortunate for them. They can still technically, if they really wanted to, they could go for like a Levier play. Levier, bring back the Pike. Pike discard something, maybe like a copy of Gund if they wanted to, or just like the Undyne or something, and then go for rank 4 if need be. But let's see what they choose to go for. Here they are going to Dark Hole, so just trying to probably proc the copy of Lind here. I think maybe they realistically should have done this before, because then they would have been in a better situation here. But here the Lind can trigger, and they're going to go for a copy of Lead, okay. And then they are going to go for the Megalo, discarding the Undyne and the copy of Gund. The Megalo is going to trigger and the Gund is going to trigger, so they get a copy of Sphere and bring back that copy of Lind. After that, they're going to use Lead to get rid of the Lind, to discard the copy of Lone Fire from the opponent's hand, overlaying for a copy of Dracosac, detaching the Lead and getting 2 tokens, and setting 1. From here, Vishuda is going to draw a copy of Double Cyclone, which is like alright, but it's not great here, setting both and passing it over. And here, South City Duelist gets a copy of Pike. So an alright card, but nothing too crazy in this exact situation. Here they are going to detach to get 2 more tokens. So really walling up, going and switching the Dracosac to attack and attacking in. From here, it looks like Vishuda is going to get another draw, getting a copy of Call the Haunted again. So at least they're kind of having something here, but that Crow is going to meet the Call the Haunted, targeting the Lone Fire, so Lone Fire gets banished. Here, Double Cyclone is going to be chained to go for the back row there, and obviously Sphere can't be activated because their zones are clogged. And then here they just set the Call the Haunted and over to South City Duelist, who gets a copy of MST, which is like the perfect draw here regardless. Dracosac is going to be activated though, and here it looks like they weren't even going to chain it. Okay, I mean, yeah, there wasn't really a great position or reason to do that necessarily. If anything, it would potentially, like, if they went for the Moral Attack, like, just clear up one of the zones. But obviously, the Dracosac can't attack here either. But, it wouldn't have really mattered either because, since this is attempting to pop this, even if they summon the Moral Attack won't be able to trigger just because of how the chain works. It's summoned during the chain, sort of. So it wouldn't get the pop anyways. But here, passing it over to Vishuda, who gets a copy of Duality, activating Duality, revealing Sanctum, Call the Haunted, and Soul Charge, taking the copy of Soul Charge and putting the other 2 back. So really hoping they survive the turn here. And here, South City Duelist gets a copy of Torrential, summoning the copy of Pike and just going for a lot of damage to make the copy of Soul Charge a lot less effective. And from here, they get a copy of DD Crow, and yeah, they're just going to scoop it up. There wasn't really a great play they had there, but finally into this game number 3, Vishuda will get to start this one out for the first time. Opening hands, we see Traptrix, Triple Nightmare, Double Cyclone, Duality, Sanctum, and Ignition. So a pretty solid hand. And on the other side, we see Marksman, Controller, Allure, Abyss Lead, and Abyss Lind. So a little bit of an awkward hand here, but not even that bad. And here Vashuda does get a draw for turn. Getting a copy of Mermail is very, very strong. So let's see how they actually choose to play this one out. Going for Duality, revealing Maxi, Dionea, and Torrential. Adding the copy of Maxi because they already kind of have everything they need. Summoning the Mermail, adding a copy of Bottomless. And from here we will see them set 3. Choosing to hold the Traptrix, Triple Nightmare, and Bottomless, keeping the Sanctum, Ignition, and Double Cyclone, so just playing out of the artifact side of the deck. And here, South City Duelist, I believe they just drew the copy of Marksman, so having 2 Marksmen in hand isn't the greatest here. Activating Allure, drawing into Breakthrough and Dragoons, discarding the Controller. Maybe we could see like a crazy like Abyss Lead play, getting rid of like 3 and popping all the back row, but here it looks like they're just going to set the Lind and set Breakthrough skill. And from here, it looks like in end phase, Vashuda is going to activate the Ignition, popping the Breakthrough skill, setting the copy of Moral Tech. And from here, they're going to activate Sanctum to summon a copy of Beagle Tech, pop the Moral Tech summon itself out. And then from here, drawing another copy of Sanctum for turn, maybe we will see something like a Pleiades here just to bounce to avoid the Lind potential, which is exactly what they're going to do here, going for battle phase and attacking in with both. This might be honestly a pretty quick match, depending, because they just are completely set. They have the Max C to stop any big pushes. They have obviously the Sanctum and Traptrix, Triple Nightmare as interruption. Even if they go and try to play a little bit different with setting a double something into the Double Cyclone, can just kind of deal with that. And obviously the Breakthrough skill can at least deal with the Pleiades here, but we will have to see. Drawing into a copy of Soul Charge, that's not that great here. Here they are going to go for a big lead play, and it looks like Maxi's going to be chained to that, so lead is summoned, and here Call the Haunted is drawn. And from here, there's probably going to be a big chain here. Yep, activating everything, all the Atlanteans and stuff, trying to pop everything. And here, Sanctum is going to be chained, summoning a copy of Scythe. Ooh, that is very tough for them. And here, the Sanctum is going to trigger, and the Scythe is going to trigger. The lead gets popped. And, oh, actually, no, it shouldn't get popped, because the Marksman specifically only pops set cards. So because they chained the copy of Sanctum, it actually won't trigger here. If I'm not mistaken. So let's see. Here, Infantry is going to be added off of the Dragoons, and then Scythe is still triggering, or they're trying to, and it says Sanctum doesn't trigger. You chains, still triggers. No, yeah, so Marksman only pops sets. So looks like they were, oh, geez, they're being a little mean towards each other there. Yeah, it's exactly as South City Duelist said, that it specifically targets face downs. But yeah, no, I always say that no matter how the games go, try to be positive and polite to your opponents. But anyways, back to this match, it looks like they are going to battle phase, and the lead is going to attack over the copy of Mermail here. And then main phase 2 setting the copy of Lind, and over to Vashuda, who gets a copy of Duality, activates the Duality, revealing 3, and getting the copy of Lonefire, putting back the Moral Attack and Torrential yet again. And then from here, it looks like they are going to use the Pleiades, bouncing the lead, setting 2, and over to South City Duelist, who now gets a copy of Sphere. So a pretty solid draw here, and from here, let's see what they choose to do. They're going to flip the copy of Lind, and unfortunately that does get met with the Bottomless. And they knew they had it too because of turn 1 searching it. Here, setting the copy of Sphere. Going to end phase, Call the Haunted is going to bring back the Mermail, which can then use its effect and pop the set. But Breakthrough skill is going to be chained to that. And at this point, Double Cyclone is going to be chained to pop the Call the Haunted, pop the Sphere, and the Mermail will be destroyed. And Vashuda does end up winning this match with this really cool plant artifact Traptrix deck. But yeah, really great match. Honestly, a really great back and forth. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on this video, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. Whether you won or lost, if you thought the deck you were playing or your opponent was playing was pretty cool, feel free to send it in. I'm sure people would love to see that. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.